They'll say you've changed. They'll say you're distant. They'll say you're not the same person anymore. And they'll be right. Because healing doesn't ask for permission. It asks for presence. Hi love, I'm Kay Ali Cole, and this is where women learn to love and lead from power, not panic. This is where we return to our truth and learn the strategy of peace, power, and purpose. This invitation is yours to come home to your center. Before we begin, Queens, stay with me until the end. Your exclusive Queens closing gift is waiting there just for you. And I see a lot of you Queens watching but not subscribing yet. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I'll wait. Thank you, Queen. You give your time, I give my best. That's our promise to each other. This message is so important. It dives into healing. It dives into coming home to yourself. And it's so important, and I'm happy to share it with you. So let's begin. Queen, healing doesn't always look like peace and quiet. Sometimes it looks like solitude that feels like loneliness until you realize it's sanctuary. Sometimes it sounds like silence, but that silence is sacred. It's not empty. You're not running away. You're running inward. People may not understand the version of you who pulls back, the version of you who cancels without a reason, who doesn't reply right away, who no longer explains every breath she takes. But you're not here to convince them. You're here to come home to yourself. There's a lie, a big lie many of us inherited, that constant availability is a form of love, that visibility equals value. But presence without peace isn't presence, it's performance. And Queen, you're done performing. You are. Because even Jesus retreated. He didn't call it hiding. He called it restoration. There are moments where disappearing isn't avoidance. It's obedience. You're not disconnecting from the world. You're reconnecting with God. That's not hiding. That's healing. Have you ever opened your text messages and seen like 7 unread threads and say, nope, not today, and go light a candle instead? Yeah, it's not antisocial. That's energy stewardship. That's reclaiming your own energy. Because this is the unraveling right here, what we're doing. The beautiful, chaotic, sacred unraveling of everything that was never yours to carry. The guilt, the obligation, the hypervigilance, the self-abandonment dressed up as compassion. You're shedding it. And while it may look like distance to some, it's actual devotion. You're not shutting the world out. You're letting spirit in. When your nervous system is finally allowed to rest, you stop calling exhaustion your normal. You stop thinking burnout is a badge of honor, because it's not. You stop proving your worth by how much you can hold and start honoring what your soul no longer will. You're not flaky. You're filtering. You're not hiding. You're healing in real time. And healing, Queen, it's not passive. It's participation with your highest self. Have you ever canceled a plan and felt guilty for 2 minutes? We all have. Then you realize that peace poured over you like a warm blanket. You know why? That's alignment in real time. This version of you is not weak. She's wise. She knows when to say no. She knows when to unplug. She knows how to sit with the uncomfortable silence and let it teach her, not terrify her. You're not less. You're not less social. You're becoming more selective. You're not pulling away. You're positioning yourself for what your next level requires. And here's a deeper spiritual truth. You have to understand this. Healing often begins when hiding ends, but not in the way you think. It ends the moment you stop hiding from yourself. When you face your own exhaustion, when you get honest about your peace deficit, when you say, I can't keep living like this, and you actually do something about it. That's sacred work. It is. Let's pause here. Not because the work is done, but because the pause is the work. Breathe. This is your starting point, not your retreat. This is your realignment, not your disappearance. You're not hiding. You're healing. And that, Queen, is the power the world has no language for, but your soul knows it well. Healing isn't hiding. It isn't. Queen, let's go back. Let's time travel back. Back to the first time you felt like your presence was too much, or maybe not enough. The first time you learned to dim your light just enough to feel safe in the room. You weren't trying to hide. You were trying to survive. This is a part of healing we rarely talk about. It's not talked about much at all. It's how hiding wasn't always a choice. Sometimes it was instinct. You didn't go quiet because you wanted to. You went quiet because that's what got you through the storm. You became the peacekeeper, the fixer, that I'm fine, that woman. Because that role got you loved, or at least it kept you safe. But Queen, safety is not the same as sanctuary. It's not. You don't have to shrink to feel secure anymore. You don't have to overfunction just to stay included. You don't have to explain your silence to people who never learned to sit with their own. You don't. You have to understand that imagination creates reality. But when your imagination is shaped by trauma, we often imagine our absence brings peace. So we hide, we play small, we preempt rejection by erasing ourselves. But now you're learning that your wholeness doesn't threaten peace, it creates it. It creates it. And let's get honest, so many women have confused invisibility with protection. You learn to become what the room needed, even if it meant abandoning what you needed. That's not weakness. That's the nervous system doing its best to keep you alive. Where you're not just surviving anymore, you're awakening. You're waking up. Let me ask you this. You ever catch yourself writing, no worries, if not, at the end of a sentence and already has 6 layers of apology waiting? Then pause, delete it and say, actually, I'm not going to soften my boundary this time. That's healing in motion. It is. Let's call this what it is. This chapter of your life isn't about being liked. It's about being aligned. It's not about returning to who you were. It's about remembering who you've been underneath all those different roles. The nurturer, the strong one, the always available one. Oh, roles that got you applause but cost you your authenticity. Let's breathe here, because for many of us, hiding is grief in disguise. You grieved the version of yourself that was loud and wild and free before life taught her that quiet meant safe. You miss her, right? But she's still in there. But now you're bringing her back, not to perform, but to be held. But to be held. And she deserves to be held. Because when we break emotional patterns, the brain resists. It does. It craves familiar, even if the familiar is dysfunctional. So when you stop overgiving, when you stop explaining, when you stop showing up out of guilt instead of joy, your mind might say, this feels wrong. Your spirit will whisper, but this feels real. Trust that whisper. Trust that whisper that says, this is really you. This is your authentic self. Queen, you're no longer holding and molding yourself to avoid consequences of being misunderstood. You're no longer crafting responses so you're not labeled cold or too much or inconsistent. You're not shrinking to soothe the room anymore. You're centering. And centering requires discomfort sometimes, especially if you were trained to orbit others. Peace is not found in avoidance. It's found in faith. When you trust that peace is your inheritance, you stop trying to earn your rest by exhausting yourself for others. You're no longer here to perform, to belong. You embody it, right? You do. You ever finally set a boundary and immediately want to text back, wait, just kidding. You're not mad, are you? But instead you put your phone down and say, this is the part where I let peace do her job, right? Yeah, that. It's okay to set boundaries. It's okay to have standards. You deserve it and you are worthy of it. Let me say this with love. Your capacity to endure does not need to be your calling card anymore. You've done enough surviving. This is your season to be seen by you. Not the curated version, not the bendable, extendable version, but the woman underneath the armor. The woman who doesn't show up to be everything to everyone. The woman who is finally allowed to rest, breathe. Queen, here's what's sacred. The more you stop explaining your evolution, the more powerful it becomes. Some people won't understand why you're not showing up the same, why you're quieter, why you're slower to respond. Let them wonder. Your healing doesn't need a PR team. It just needs your permission. So give it. Give your permission. Scripture says, be still and know. Not be loud and prove. Not be everywhere and earn. Still. Still enough to hear your breath again. Still enough to feel your gut say no. Still enough to believe, I don't owe my healing justification. You don't. You are worthy. You are enough. You are not the girl who hides to be chosen anymore. You are the woman who heals to be whole. And wholeness, it's not loud. It's not performative. It's not always visible. But it's yours. Even in the quiet, even in the pause, even in the tender becoming. Healing isn't hiding, my love. It isn't. It's returning home to yourself. Queen, let's pause here together, not to retreat, but to return to your center, to your truth, to the woman who's not just learning to heal, but learning to hold herself in that healing. This part is where you go back to who you were. This is a part where you become everything your younger self never saw modeled. Not because it's easy, but because it's divine. It is. It is. You've been shedding so much. You've been proving so much lately. And you've been releasing as well. Not just habits, not just old roles, but entire identities. The one who over-explains, the one who volunteers her piece for approval, the one who shows up even when her body is saying no, just to avoid being called difficult. That woman right there. She was powerful, but she was tired. And now you're becoming powerful and peaceful. Powerful and peaceful. Let's call this the sacred pivot. You're no longer hiding from healing. You're holding it with reverence, with intention, and with honesty. You're no longer running from the silence. You're learning to sit in it and trust that clarity will rise. Not because you perform, but because you're present. You're present in the silence. You have to understand, your imagination doesn't just create your world, it reflects your permission. So when you imagine yourself as someone who no longer overgives, overfunction, or overjustifies, you've been creating a reality that matches your restraint. You are the creator of your own reality. Healing begins to look like holding yourself without explaining yourself to everyone. And that, queen, is spiritual reintroduction. This isn't the version of healing that's passive. It's active surrender. It's when you know you could explain your shift, but you don't. It's when you feel the invitation to overextend and lovingly decline. It's when you realize that not every good woman is a self-sacrificing one. You don't have to die to everyone around you. You have to live for them and for yourself. You can be soft and sovereign. You can be kind and clear. You can be compassionate and still say, not this time. No, I can't do it now. No, it's not a bad word. It's clarity. You ever hear yourself about to say yes just out of habit, and then your body goes, girl, don't do it. Don't do it. And instead of explaining, you smile and say, thanks for thinking of me, but I won't be able to make it. That's not distance, that's discipline. That's discipline. Let's name what this shift actually costs. When you stop hiding your needs, when you stop abandoning your peace, when you stop being the default therapist for people who never asked you how you're doing or care to ask you how you're doing. Some people will fall off, and that's okay. And it's not because you're cold, but because you are no longer convenient. That loss, it's not punishment. It's protection. It's protection. Okay? Understand that. It's okay. It can hurt, but it's protection. And your nervous system wires itself around your most repeated experiences. So if your body is used to being hyper-vigilant, waiting for the next request, the next demand, the next emotional need to manage from someone who's not even thinking about you, yeah, stillness might feel foreign. But the new wiring begins when you pause long enough to say, this stillness is not a threat. It's my new normal. Let's be honest, you didn't just perform peace, you produced it. You created peace in rooms that didn't know how to hold it. You managed conversations, you translated tones, you anticipated tension before it even arrived. And that was tiring. It was. And now you're realizing that you can just breathe because you don't have to any longer. And that's not selfish. That's sacred boundary work. You ever walk into a room, feel the energy off, and instead of adjusting, you just say, I'm good. I'm going to go sit over here in my own vibration. That's not aloofness. That's authority. That's you can taking control of how you show up and not being maneuvered by the energy in the room, but controlling your own within. Faith without strategy becomes fantasy. You must know this. But when your faith is followed by emotional boundaries and discernment in any environment, it becomes your framework for peace. Queen, this is not about building walls or shutting people out. This is about building a sanctuary for you. You're not hiding from people. You're holding space for yourself. And there is a difference. You're learning right now that healing doesn't look like making yourself available for every conversation. Healing doesn't look like softening your no into something more socially acceptable. Healing doesn't look like being nice while your body breaks under pressure of being everything to everyone. Healing looks like you saying no without a dissertation. That's what it looks like. You're not withholding your love. You're not. You're just not offering it through exhaustion anymore. You're not unavailable. You're just not emotionally on call anymore for everyone and everything. And for the people who only knew how to love you when you overfunction, this version of you might feel unfamiliar. Okay, let it be. They weren't in the silent conversations you had with God at 3 a.m. They didn't hold your hand when you were trying to relearn how to breathe after betrayal. They weren't there when you chose peace over panicking. Even when your voice shook and you trembled and cried at night, they weren't there. Let's breathe. Take a moment, because I know letting go of the performance doesn't always feel like peace at first. It can feel like grief. Grieving the roles, grieving the identity, grieving the version of you who was so good at being good. But now, you're not here to be good. You're here to be whole. To be whole, right? Not about being kind or being good. It's about wholeness within yourself. Let me ask you this. Have you ever drafted a long message to explain why you're not available? Right? Then delete the whole thing and say, nah. I'll send this instead. Appreciate you, but I'm honoring my capacity this week. Not able to make it. And then close your phone and whisper, growth. Thank God for that. Yes. That's healing at work. You're not emotionally withdrawing, love. You're not. You're energetically reclaiming. You're not isolating. You're inwardly integrating. The difference between hiding and healing. Hiding says, I'm afraid to be seen. Healing says, I'm no longer accessible to energy that dishonors me. That shift is radical. It's internal and it's sacred. And Queen, you're walking in it right now. Right now, we're going to be talking about how to walk in that wholeness. Because it can be difficult at some points. This is a part where we stop romanticizing what we've released and just let it go. Where we stop explaining our exits. Where we stop shrinking for access. Where we stop apologizing for the peace we paid for in private. This is not just where the healing lives. This is where it leads. Because real healing isn't just about feeling better. It's about living differently. You've done the sacred pause. You've breathed. You've done the shedding. Now you're being asked to walk, not back into performance, but forward into presence. This isn't the version of you who over-edits her voice. This is a version of you who listens to her body. This is a version who no longer says yes just because she can. This is a version of you who leads with discernment, not duty. Let's tell the truth. Right here, right now. For so long, you thought disappearing from dysfunction was avoidance. Yeah? But now you know it was wisdom. Because when you're finally healed enough to stop managing the room and everything that's in the room, you start managing your own energy. And Queen, that's where your power lives. In self-control. You're no longer performing soft. You're choosing it. Not because you're weak, but because you're wise. Not because you can't fight, but because you don't need to. And not because you're shrinking, but because you've grown too sacred to be everywhere. You are important. Healing will ask you to break generational patterns quietly without applause. It will ask you to let people mislabel you without correcting them. It will ask you to say no without offering your whole heart as a disclaimer. This isn't coldness. This is consecration. Let's take a moment just to ground ourselves, right? So we could understand all of this. Breathing is what we do to center ourselves. So let's take some time to breathe right now. Inhale, honor, peace, and the peace that you prayed for. Inhale that. And exhale. Inhale, hold it, and exhale. Right? Just to come back to ourselves. Because you don't need to keep softening your clarity for people who only value you when you're convenient. You're not here to babysit everyone else's comfort. You're here to embody your own clarity. Okay? So we're back at center. Let's shift again. There will be invitations, subtle and loud, to return to the version of you who overfunctioned. There will be. But you've been through too much. You worked too hard to regulate your nervous system, to offer it up on the altar of other people's comfort. You don't owe access to those who only honored your silence when it served them. You don't owe emotional hospitality to people who fed off your burnout. You've graduated from performing. You graduated from performing emotional labor in places that refuse to evolve. Right? So you can't return back to that. You can't. Let me ask you, have you ever send a got it with a smiley face instead of explaining your whole life in a text message? And then close your phone like you just passed a spiritual exam? You did. Because yeah, that's wisdom now. You don't have to write a full paragraph to explain yourself. You don't. Sometimes a few words is all you need. This isn't just about becoming a new person. It's about finally being safe enough to be the real you. The soft you, the discerning you, the present you. Not the hypervigilant one. You're learning to love without losing yourself. You're learning to say no even when no one else understands. And that's okay. You're learning to stay home, not out of fear, but out of faith. And this part of healing, it requires discipline. The discipline to stay grounded when you're misunderstood. The discipline to trust your spirit over someone's urgency. The discipline to not pick up what God already told you to lay down. Queen, the deeper work is this. Healing isn't just about protecting your peace. It's not. It's about enforcing it especially when it's inconvenient, especially when it makes you look different, especially when it costs you access. This is where healing becomes honor. You're no longer performing presence in rooms that never saw you. You're no longer crafting statements to keep the peace. Because real peace, it doesn't need defending. It just needs discipline. Right? That's all it needs. It needs discipline. Doesn't need defending. I know you've done this before. You ever tell someone, let me get back to you, just so your nervous system has to check back in? That's not flaky. That's emotional maturity, love. And Queen, you've earned that. Not everyone. You can't be at everyone's beck and call. What energy would you have for yourself? You no longer need to prove you're healing by performing for people who profit from your pain. You no longer need to announce your boundaries with essays. You no longer soften your voice to sound more digestible. You walk in, you breathe, you let clarity introduce you. That's enough now. That's all you need to do. All right, let's ground this in some work that you can do step by step throughout the week that can help you. One small move: say no without a follow-up. Let your no be complete. Let your no be no. And leave it there. No softness, no spinning, no second message. Just no. That's sovereignty in a sentence. It's not cold. It's just a no. A large move you can do this week: audit your calendar and clear out any obligation that only exists to soothe someone else's discomfort. Not because it honors your capacity. The healing woman leads with clarity, not codependency. If it doesn't honor you, erase it. You're not here to earn your wholeness. You're here to enforce it. And that enforcement is not loud. It's not showy. It's steady. It's clear. It's silent and sacred. Right? And Queen, if you're feeling this shift good, it means the healing is no longer hidden. It's home now. It's with you. Healing isn't hiding. It isn't. It's reclaiming your energy. It's coming home to yourself. You sat with the discomfort. You shifted through the grief. You've redefined what peace means on your own terms. Now you walk in it, right? You walk in it. Healing isn't about perfection. It's about presence. It's not about having no wounds. It's about no longer abandoning yourself to soothe someone else's. You're not hiding. You're honoring. You're not escaping. You're elevating. You're elevating. And you're not vanishing, love. You're vibrating higher. That frequency has gone up. And every step you take now is not a performance. It's a proclamation of who you are. Let's start with breath again, not to escape the moment, but to enter it fully. Because the woman you are now, she doesn't skip steps. She doesn't chase peace. She anchors in it. Inhale. I am safe in my silence. Exhale. I am sovereign in my stillness. Inhale. I am no longer performing. Exhale. I am present, powerful, and enough. Again, inhale. This body is holy. Exhale. My peace is my protest. Affirmations that we're going to do, they're for embodiment. We speak them out loud, or you can whisper them, but say them as the woman who no longer begs for clarity in chaos. We say them like a decree. Say them like a woman who knows who she is now. All right, let's start. I do not audition for love. I attract it through alignment. My soft heart is not a liability. It's my legacy. I no longer prove. I no longer perform. I simply am. Boundaries are not barriers. They are bridges to truth. I will not shrink to be safe. I will not bend to belong. I protect my peace like it's holy because it is. I don't explain my healing. I embody it. You could write these down as well, right? These affirmations help you in times where it's hard, but you let your silence serve as a sacred statement each and every time that I'm not available for urgency that isn't mine. Protect your energy to preserve your expansion because you will expand. Let presence be your protest, right? Write down your small moves and your large ones this week. A declaration that says what you're no longer doing, what you're reclaiming in your life, what you're ready to walk in. Here's an example. I no longer perform peace in rooms that feed off my anxiety. I no longer over-explain just to stay included. I reclaim my voice, my space, my softness, and my seat at the table. Even if I built the table myself, I walk in healing and I no longer apologize for who I had to become to get here. Write yours, speak it, and every time guilt whispers, remind it healing isn't hiding. It's homecoming, right? It's coming home to yourself. It's reclaiming your energy. It's abandoning whatever is not yours and what doesn't honor you, right? It's not avoidance. It's emotional stewardship. You're not silencing yourself. You're saving your sacred for what actually matters, what actually pours into you. All right? And as promised, our closing gift is right after this message. And definitely take a look at it. It will help you through affirmations and through journaling. It will help you in clearing your thoughts, gathering those triggers in writing, and knowing how to walk it out, right? Again, I thank you for being with me today. Queen, you've done something holy. You have. You didn't just consume this message. You allowed it to transform you. And if you felt held, seen, or stretched, let me know. Drop a comment, share your shift. And if you haven't subscribed, now's the time. This space was built for women like you. We lead from spirit. We rest in strategy. We walk in silence and still change the atmosphere, right? You're not walking away from noise anymore. You're walking into reigning. So have a great day and take care always. Be blessed.